What happens to my family if something happens to me? So here's the best way to look at it. A couple different scenarios if something happens to you. Let's talk about the first one. If you become incapacitated, okay, so this is assuming, again, you have no living trust, no estate plan in place. So if you become incapacitated, what you have to ask yourself is this, the following, I should say. Who's going to pay my bills? Who's going to manage my investments, my bank accounts? Who's going to make my medical decisions? Who's going to communicate with my doctors? Now you may be thinking, oh, you know what? I'm married. Well, what happens, God forbid, if something happens to you and your spouse at the same time? Or again, if you're a single person, no one's going to be able to get into your bank account to pay your bills. No one's going to be able to call your financial advisor like myself and say, hey, buy this stock, sell that stock, do this, do that. Nope, can't do it. More importantly, you're laying there in a hospital bed, medical decisions. Who's going to make those for you? The doctors have the Hippocratic Oath. They're going to try to keep you alive. They don't know that maybe you didn't want to be kept alive. Maybe, they don't know anything because you have no medical directive. Who's going to communicate with the doctors when you can't? There'll be solutions I'll share with you in just a moment. Now, that's one solution or one problem. Now, what about the next one? What if you pass away? Who's going to carry out your wishes? How are your assets going to be transferred, right? You die without a will. You die without a trust, and things are going to probate. Even with a will, it's going to go to probate no matter what. No matter what you've read, heard, if you have a will, your estate is going to probate. Again, the saying that we have in the estate planning world is a will is nothing more than instructions for the probate judge. A will is also a component, so another document in the estate plan. It's I don't want to say it's part of the living trust, but it's in the documents like with your living trust. You have to have it because what a will does is it comes into play after your death. Remember, a revocable living trust handles your affairs while you are alive, right? You are in control. That's why they call it a revocable living trust. The will kicks in once you are dead, okay? But if you have the assets properly titled in the revocable trust, you don't go to probate. I just had a discussion with a client today, this morning, just got done going through a fairly large estate. Her mother passed away. Had a living trust. House wasn't in the living trust. Multi-million-dollar house. She said she and her siblings spent over $18,000 on the attorney to get it through probate. 9-month process. Very typical. 9 months kind of short. So there's the other issue if you pass away. You parents out there with minors, who's going to take care of the kids? Who's going to raise them? Have you legally documented your wishes? Would a judge know what those wishes are? Absolutely not. So the judge is going to make his own decision or her own decision what's going to happen with your children. Once again, with a proper estate plan, that doesn't happen. So what if there is no plan? First of all, as I said, the court becomes involved. None of us, we love our attorneys, we love our judges, but none of us want the legal system to make decisions financially, medically, or for our children. So the court becomes involved. Decisions can be delayed. Costs can increase, right? There's a lot of misconceptions out there what probate really costs. So remember, it's based upon it's a percentage of the value of your estate. Higher the value, the more cost. But you've got, your estate has to hire an attorney to represent the estate. The court has attorneys. The court has fees, so on and so forth. Like my client was saying, she goes, they charged me $75 just to drop off documents. And this wasn't here in Nevada. This was in another state. But yeah, $75 just to drop off documents. That's what happens. And then most importantly, and I've dealt with this for so many years with clients, and I'm sure many of you have dealt with the same thing. The last thing in the world you want to deal with when you lost a loved one, especially someone close like a spouse or a child, is you don't want to deal with financial and medical and all these other things. You need to grieve. And so by not having access to pay the mortgage payment, the utilities, the property taxes, because you're locked out of the bank accounts, you can't make the medical decisions, etc. You talk about an additional level of stress. My goodness, if you've never experienced it, words don't describe the level of stress that comes into play.